So are we looking at the camera?
No, not necessarily.
I help you, my brother.
Right, so I'm just with Mike at the moment. So this location we're in now is like quite poignant really, because it's an old power station, and one of the subjects that we wanted to cover today is about being young, and is about growing up, and is about kind of going off the rails, but more importantly, like pulling it back as well, and being able to plug into that power and plug into that power in you. Now, it was just Mike just mentioned then about not being academic and stuff, and I'm not academic myself, and somebody pulled me up the other day on Twitter having a go, saying basically giving me the same messages what I was given at school, that
Never going to achieve nothing. You'll
never
end up in
achieve
jail.
nothing. All that kind of stuff that sinks in and like kind of scars you. But also, they was saying nobody's ever going to take you seriously because you can't spell properly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, well, actually, just opened the NHS safeguarding conference this morning. Sweet cheeks. Do you know what I mean? And people are like sort of quick to judge us on how we look, how we talk, all that kind of stuff. But we're both achievers in life and are both successful, even though we've not gone down that academic route as such. We've got to where we need to be by using them transferable skills. Do you want to come in there, mate?
You know what? Like, with me, I went through some shit as a kid that I shouldn't have gone through. I seem to say that on every video that I do, but I went through some pretty grim stuff. Ended up going boarding school, which was more like a Borstal kind of thing. Didn't get put in for GCSEs, didn't get put in for any kind of exams. They just wrote me off. And I never understood why they wrote me off, and they wrote me off simply because the education system looks at SATs and GCSEs and academic targets and where you should be at. But when you've gone through abuse, it's difficult to obviously.
Your education was interrupted.
Yeah, big time.
So like people cast these judgments, mate, on us being thick or whatever. But the thing is, you know, that wasn't a choice of ours at that time.
No, it wasn't.
We was being abused and we're supposed to be learning. Now, you try being sexually abused and learning at the same time and retaining information, not being distracted, not dissociating in class, not acting the clown in class because you don't understand the work, or you know what I mean, and just trying to make fun of it so people don't think or say you think. Do you know what I mean?
I genuinely left school thinking it was thick. Like, I'd never achieve anything, I'd never go on to do anything. The only thing it's madness, but obviously everyone's got a past. The only thing I took away from school was Henry VIII. We all know why. But you know what, like every single person that's wrote off at school, they leave with a lack of self-confidence, with a lack of understanding, one, who they are, where they fit in, what they're meant to do. And that was me. Like I was a mess. Started hanging around with the wrong crowd. Thankfully I never got caught as such. But I ended up doing some crazy stuff when I was younger. Now, fast forward all them years, I'm 34. I've got 3 beautiful kids. I've got a family. I had no siblings, but I've got brothers and sisters that I've met along the journey. Like, it's all good for them teachers that you don't like or don't like you to write you off. But GCSEs don't mean anything to me, or you know, obviously I'd get your head down, concentrate on the work you're doing, but they don't mean anything to me because I've been successful by finding my own path. You know, some people that are academic do go on to end up in jail, do go on to, you know, go into some mad situations, but they're not wrote off. Everyone's got a past, everyone's got a future, and it's how you direct that. And for me, the message is that anything is achievable. You can achieve anything you want to achieve. You just got to put your mind to it. If you want to go back to school, like if you've gone through some stuff in your life and it's stopped you from learning, go back to college, go back to uni. You know, do these things that are going to help you grow yourself. Teachers are there to grow you when you're kids, but if you're going through stuff and it's, you know, you're in a bad place, that's not your fault. So if you know, if you've been the naughty kid or you are the naughty kid, it's just a process that you're going through. You will grow. I'm 34 now. I never imagined in my life I'd be doing some of the stuff that I'm doing, but I'm doing it because I want to do it and because that's what I found was right for me.
Well, you know something, Mike, I was talking to her, I had a meeting with the police this morning about some other stuff, and I was talking to an ex-copper, and was having this kind of conversation about young people, and saying, you know, from those messages that we get fed at school, that you're going to end up in prison, you know, you're going to end up locked up, you're going to end up on drugs. I ended up all them things, but you know, then it's like if you've not got them qualifications, it's like, you know, prove people wrong in a positive way. Don't prove people wrong by thinking, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start selling drugs. Yeah, I'm not going to take them. I'm just going to start selling drugs. I'm going to build my money up that way. I'm going to have a nice car, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, that stuff's not sustainable. So it's like, you know, from where I am now and turn my life around, I don't engage in any criminal activity, and I don't have the fear. I've had the stuff before which didn't last long through selling drugs, car, all that kind of stuff, bling, all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, yeah, I was always in fear of the police coming through the door, booting the door off and taking everything, and that happened. Do you know what I mean? That happened, and also I ended up getting high off my own supply, which I said I'd never do, and flipping, end up with a raging habit and ended up in flipping rehab. But you know, you can prove what I've learned, and it's been a tough lesson, is to do things the right way. After like 20 odd years of behaving like that, you know, now I've got a job, now I can look after my family, now I can sleep well at night when I put my head down on the pillow. There's not the fear of
Got no one coming through your door.
the feds coming through the door and taking all my stuff, upsetting the kids, do you know what I mean, and traumatising the kids, do you know what I mean? And you know, what we want to try and, as an adult, what I try and do for our kids when, as an adult who's been through trauma, is stop that generational flipping curse. You know what I mean? We don't want to traumatise our kids and put ourselves in that put our kids in that kind of situation.
I like, it gave me, I'll be honest, being told you're never going to achieve nothing, we're not putting you forward for your GCSEs, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, you're going to end up dead in jail. My mates, I've ended up dead and in jail. I've lost people. I'm sure you've lost people.
I have, mate, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And to still be here, but on the right side of life, it's been one hell of a journey. And it's not easy. And life does literally chew you up and spit you out. It's got no regard to how you feel. It fucks you up.
But you know something on that thing, on that note, Mike, it's like, on paper, we should be dead. Do you know what I mean? If you look at our CVs,
yeah,
and I'm not on about our academic CVs,
no,
if you look at our life CVs and our experiences, the traumas, all that kind of stuff, we should be dead. Do you know what I mean? And we've both been close to it, with suicide attempts, with overdoses, all that kind of stuff. Now, onto the finger stuff, Mike. From when you have felt like that and been in that position, which you've openly spoken about before, how have you pulled yourself back from that?
Hope. Just hope. Surrounding myself with the right people. Do you know what I mean? It's not easy when you feel like I don't know, man. Like 1st of January 2019, like I got found hanging in my bedroom. Luckily I didn't die, but when I think about it now, and I look at the journey that's happened since then, I don't want to die. My life is amazing. I could not wish for a better life because I'm doing something that I'm passionate about. I'm helping young people. I'm stopping people going through what I went through as a kid. And now it's leading to a point where, because I've got so much lived experience in the field that I work in, that people are, professionals are starting to take me seriously, as opposed to not taking me seriously. So for me, you have to dedicate that time and that commitment to yourself. You have to.
So how do you, from being found strung up, hanging, and being cut down, yeah, how, for you to do that and for you to feel that your self-esteem's got to be on the floor and it has to be on the deck. So how do you build that self-esteem? How do you build that confidence?
Talking.
How do you rebuild?
Talking, trying to, with me, I literally took my life, screwed it up into a million pieces, and wrote it off. Self-sabotage, self-destruction, and only when I started to speak out about how I was feeling was able to move forward. You know what I mean? Like, I got help, went to the mental health team, ended up getting diagnosed with a load of shit that I didn't even know was wrong with me. And these things that are wrong with me are all part of everything that happened when I was a kid. So for the past 22 years, I've been living with it without even knowing that I was living with it. And you need to surround yourself with the right people. Like, I had to get the big boy scissors out and start chopping people off for fun who weren't good for me, who weren't the right characters that I needed in my life, who were negative influences, who were, putting substances in front of me and just whatever else. Like, I had to get rid of people, but only when you start getting rid of people and you start surrounding yourself with the right kind of people can you see a way forward, can you see that you don't need to take everybody else's path, you can make your own. And that's literally what I've done. Do you know what I mean? I've made my own path, and the path that I'm on now is beautiful. I'm respected professionally. I've got lived experience that's now playing a part in a bigger picture, and I'd like to think over the last 19, 20 months that I have massively turned my life around, massively. And I love the fact that I've done that, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, like getting clean, coming away from negative circles. It was difficult, man. It was difficult. It was difficult admitting that I was part of the problem.
And taking responsibility for yourself.
Yeah, accountability. I was responsible for my actions. I was choosing to self-sabotage myself because I didn't feel worthy of the position I was in. I didn't feel I deserved it. And a lot of that comes down to the trauma that I went through as a kid. Do you know what I mean? You don't think that you deserve these things. Like, I look at my kids every day, and my kids are a blessing to me. And I question to myself, why? Like, what was it that drove you to wanting to die? And that's because I felt like a failure to them. I felt like I'd let them down. I felt like I'd hurt them with some of the things that I'd done. And to come away from that and to be here today, it's a big thing.
You always get a second chance at life, innit? It's never too late to turn things around. Never. No matter how much shit you're in. Even if you're in prison, even if you're in rehab, even if you're in a mental health unit, wherever. Like Mike said, with those right people around, you can turn things around. It's never too late, but it's having those positive influences in your life and people who genuinely wish you well and wish you the best. You know what I mean? Want to help you step up and be the best version of yourself that you can be, man.
Sometimes what I've found is that people want to see you succeed, but they don't want to see you do better than them. So I stopped concentrating on what other people were doing and started focusing on my journey, on my path, on what I wanted to achieve, on what my aspirations were out of life. And I can definitely say now that I've become the best version of myself. And, be yourself. It is so important to be yourself and to find out who you actually are, away from the substances, away from the bullshit, away from the negative emotions surrounding whatever you went through as a kid. Or even if you are still a kid, some of the things that you're going through, like, this doesn't define you. and it doesn't have to define you. You can move forward, and moving forward it's the only way. It's the only way.
And on that final message, signing out, dead simple, it's about talking, you know, not especially, I shouldn't say that, but, you know, there's people that I come across in my life who are like friends who maybe haven't been through trauma but kind of like struggling with life stuff, yeah, who absolutely feel like shit, proper deep down and depressed, and they'll give you little snippets when you spend time with them, but they will never open up and they will never tell you what's up because they've got this inbuilt thing in them.
They're ashamed.
They're ashamed because they feel weak. Do you know what I mean? And they feel men shouldn't talk about the feelings. You know, that stuff still goes on. People still think like that. Do you know what I mean?
Stigma.
I'm used to talking. Mike's used to talking. Do you know what I mean? But it's the sad thing is about that. It's like pretty rare, really. It's only because of the circles that we mix in that people openly talk about the feelings. But you know, your general person, like sort of your general man on the street,
Nah, he won't talk about it.
won't talk about stuff, just laugh and joke, get pissed, do whatever. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I won't admit that they're depressed, won't admit that they're feeling down, and ultimately, you know, won't reach out for help, and ultimately end up becoming a flipping statistic.
Yeah. Like, I'm high, but just on life. I don't need to get high. I don't need shit to boost me up anymore because of where I'm at. Like, I don't need to be academic to achieve something in my life. And that's the message, like, to any young people that see this. Don't allow the pressures of school to crush you. Just take baby steps. This is my thing, baby steps. Even though the small steps, they're still steps forward. And that's the realest thing, the realest message you can give. Don't get stressed out about things that aren't going to affect you in 10, 15 years' time.
You know, and I'll just end on this, on what you're saying there, Mike. So, which is a proper key message, which took me ages to learn and really affected me and give me anxiety and all that. What other people think of you is none of your business.
That's their problem.
That's their problem. And we're out.